This is Press Play. I'm Madeline Brand. When I say pole dancing, what do you think of? Strip clubs, right? Well, think less Bada Bing and more Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. Yeah, as in the Music Center downtown, home to the LA Opera, and where, on Friday night, the pole dancing industry held its very first award show. KCRW's Jenny Radelet was at that black tie event, and she's here now. Hi.
Hey, Madeline.
Black tie, huh?
Yeah, it was super, super classy. I had heard about it last week, and people were referring to it as the Grammys of pole dancing, and I knew I had to go check it out.
I know. What did you wear?
Well, I was not nearly as sort of glitzed out as a lot of the girls there. There were a lot of sequins going on, and I sort of kept it simple. But I was totally blown away by the whole scene.
All right.
Really.
Well, so pole dancing is legit. When did that happen?
Well, I mean, it's been legit for hundreds of years. Technically, you could argue like it used to be, a form of acrobatics in China, and men would do it. And then it kind of came over to the States, and people put poles in bars and figured out you could use them to make money. So that's how the sort of pole dancing as we know it
So it was
evolved.
legit first, and then it kind of went
I think
see-me,
so,
and then
yeah.
now
And then
it's-
in the past 10 years, it sort of became this like huge fitness movement.
Right.
So now it's really, there are hundreds of studios in LA where you can take pole dancing classes, and it's like a really fun sort of great way to get in shape and sort of embrace your sexuality. And now it's like totally blowing up where it's become this really respected artistic art form, and, people are campaigning for it to be an Olympic sport.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you go downtown for this award show.
Yeah, and this is like, anyone who's anyone in the pole dancing community is there. So there was this one girl that everyone was talking about. Her name's Nicole, but they call her Nicole the Pole. And she was handpicked.
Because it rhymes.
Because it rhymes, and it's incredibly convenient. And she was handpicked by Rihanna to be the featured pole dancer in one of her videos for the song Pour It Up. So everybody there was dressed to the nines. There was a red carpet. There were photographers and a camera crew.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first annual Pole World News Awards. My name is Candace Kane, and I'm here covering the red carpet at the first annual Pole World News Award. How exciting it is to be here celebrating the arts that fitness and pole dancing has brought to the world internationally, through the U.S., all over the world.
Candace Kane.
Candy cane. So you go upstairs, and it was really just like any other fancy awards show. There were nice tables set for dinner and people dressed up, and two 20-foot poles in the middle of the stage, and then another...
Wait, at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, there were poles?
Yeah, there were two really, really tall poles set up on the stage, and then another pole that was set up in the middle of the room so people in the back could see. And so it was really sort of like the Grammys, where a nominees would sit in the front, the nominees would sit in the front, and then, they would get called up and accept their award.
Thank you, Pole World News. I'd like to thank God.
And then in between the awards, there were these performances, which I have to be honest with you, Madeline, like totally blew me away. So the pole, you think of strippers and it's a prop, they sort of hold on to it and they whip their hair around. These people are using the pole as an apparatus, kind of more like a balance beam. So they can literally hold onto the pole and use their upper body strength to propel them into the air, like super controlled. And they're just kind of in the air, frozen horizontally. It's insane. The strength that it takes is incredible.
So hence the awards.
Right.
And so who won?
Well, there were a bunch of different categories. There was Best Female Performer, there was Most Inspirational Performer, and then there was this.
The nominees for Sexiest Legs are Adrienne Strauss, Alethea Austin.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Sexiest legs seems a little superficial. Aren't we trying to move away from all that sexy stuff? And the answer is yes and no. So pole dancing has become a more legitimate art form, but it still does incorporate a lot of that sexuality and playfulness. It just kind of comes down to the specific dancer and their style.
So people weren't taking their clothes off?
No, there was no nudity.
Pole dancing began as a tribute to the sensual part of life. It's my pleasure to present the Sensual Artistry Award to a person who is most dedicated to preserving sensual movement in pole and the aerial arts.
What is that noise?
So those were the pole girls, and that's the sort of the name that I gave them, but they're like the equivalent of bat boys in baseball. So between all of the performances, these two girls would come out in hot pants and lucite heels with a rag and some sort of pole polish or wax, and they would climb up to the top of the pole and just wipe it down from top to bottom. So So there was like a show in between
Right.
the shows. Yeah.
I mean, kind of invalidating the whole legitimacy. Not invalidating, but maybe winking at the
Yeah,
senior
definitely
side.
like having a little fun with it and acknowledging that it's kind of inseparable, you know.
Okay, so how do you get into this thing?
I mean, all different ways. I'm sure that there are some women out there who started as strippers and then got more into the art of pole dancing. A lot of women discovered it on YouTube from other pole dancers who were making their own kind of DIY videos. And then a lot of women just thought it would be a fun way to get into shape. So I met this one woman, her name was Zariah Judd, and she was backstage getting ready for her performance. She was like all airbrushed and sort of reminded me of like Kesha, like the Kesha, Earth Mother of pole dancing.
I lived in Utah and we were in Orem. I was at the gym and I was trying to burn off the baby weight from my second child. And a regular gym goer man, older man, came up to me and he was like, "You're doing a lot of core work." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You totally need to come to this class with me." So when we got there, I walked in and it was a pole studio. I had no idea I was going to a pole class. It was all men.
All men?
Yeah, there are tons of male pole dancers. They
Oh.
totally exist. Yeah, and artists. And you know, Zariah's first class is totally not what you think. Here she is again.
It was nothing sexy. I think if it would have been sexy, I probably would have not gone back. Not because I am like anti-sexy, but I just had my second baby. There was no sexy with strangers, period, happening. It was just not, it wasn't.
Is it now pole dancing totally legitimate?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it has been legitimate. I think it's just a matter of kind of, I think it's a matter of sort of defining the sport a little bit more. It still seems like it's having a bit of an identity crisis. Is it an art? Is it a sport? Is it sexy? Is it not sexy? There's all these different women who are sort of applying their own styles to it. And I think in order for it to go to the next level, you know, if we're talking Olympics, it really needs to sort of define its mission and create some sort of common language and really, you know, maybe move away from the fetish names.
All right, so drum roll, Jenny, rattle it, and tell us who won the big award.
Well, there were a few big awards. I mean, the best female performer of the year went to this woman, Natasha Wang, who used to actually be a publicist in Santa Monica and then left to travel the world and teach pole and compete. So, you know, women are really starting to be able to make a living doing pole dancing without having to take their clothes off, which is really exciting.
Jenny Rattlet reporting on the Pole Dance Fitness Awards, the very first, held Friday night at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, Madeline.